Hello, everyone, and welcome to this session where we have Krish Sharma with us. Krish has made it to ISI this year, and he's here to share his tips and experiences about how he made this journey. Welcome, Krish, and many, many congratulations.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Uh,
I think I started preparing for ISI last year only. I think in August. Before that, I was trying to prepare that by myself. Like last year, I joined EduSure in August, but 3 or 4 months before that, I started preparing by myself. You know, all the topics, all the past year papers, and everything I tried to do by myself.
okay.
So at that was the moment where I figured out where where I lack and what are concepts I have already figured out. And then, but still, I was finding it quite difficult. Then one of my friends told me that he's a student at EduSure. The Eco
Okay.
Topper batch had already started
Yeah.
in I think May or June, uh, but I was quite late. And but then recorded lectures were there, so it did not was not much of a loss. It took me a month or two to catch up with the class, and then I just did past year papers only. Like sir used to say that he has all his books locked up in a cupboard, and only YouTube and past year problems he uses to master those concepts, and that is exactly what I did. I
Okay.
actually did not read one of those books, which any one of those books which I bought in my college days or something. I just
Nothing at
read
all.
did nothing. I'm nothing. Nobody believes, but no books, not a single book I have read.
Oh my
Only
God.
those past year papers. Only those past year papers, lectures. I used to watch the lectures, uh, topic specific lectures, and then in the PDF, I got the question list that solving and then seeing the solution. That is all I did. And
So, how many times did you do that?
see, first I was going with the class,
Okay.
but there were days, for example, puja holidays,
Yes.
and we had a lot of breaks in between. So in those times, I used to revise the subjects which I was not confident at. I used to again watch those lectures, and not lectures so many times, but mostly I used to do all those questions again and again.
So your concepts, like all the other students that I've spoken to, they always say that initially they concentrated a lot on the concepts, and then most of them told me that post December Jan they started concentrating solely on questions. Like their basics were done before that, and then they went on to questions in December Jan. So how was your style in preparation?
I was completely different. I used to like the learning by doing. There was a question in solo model like that only, learning by doing. If you, I figured that if I had to be good at doing ISI questions, I have to do ISI questions. That is like the only way. So that is all I did. The moment I used to capture the concepts right, and then if by doing I figured, oh, this is something I don't know, then I had watched the lectures. But initially it was just question and questions. So all the questions I had here, like I could remember the years, question number, topics and everything. My friends used to say ISI PB 2019 something. I used to send the solution without looking at the question.
Oh wow. Okay.
So
So
that
you
is the
followed
thing.
Sir's tip to the T.
Yeah, like everything, like whatever sir told, I followed religiously. Sir told to watch the lectures also, but I did not watch those lectures. Maybe I did, I would have got a better rank maybe. But I just jumped into questions.
You just wanted to do questions, but
Like your class, I remember it was mostly theoretical. Macro classes were mostly theoretical, and so macro lectures I did not have to watch a lot of times because the class itself was very theoretical. So I
yeah.
attended class and I like did questions from the list only. That is what I did for macro, I think. But
Okay.
macro, I had to read notes, like your notes, or maybe but other than that, rest of micro and maths, that's nothing.
Okay. Because yeah, I do a lot of theory because I want your concepts to be clear, so that when you do questions, it's your base is there. So I concentrate a lot on the theory bit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you did. So Sir also did, but I was more on question oriented. Like it was very boring, the theory. I had to do questions. The questions,
No, but that's great to
I
hear
say,
because you had your own perspective and you stuck by it and it worked. So the point that I get from talking to you, and it has been very different as I'm telling you from other experiences. But then I think what's important that it worked for you. If you were that type of person who, like you said, if you did a lot of theory, you'd get bored, you won't understand. Questions are good for you. You know, you are able to understand the theory from the question. So you stuck to your approach. I mean, that is something that is also nice. Maybe there's someone else who likes his theory very clear. So they should follow a different approach. And you, as a person, if questions are what drives you and you know that drives you to know how to do that, then you followed that approach. I think that is the key point here.
yes, because sir, I remember sir, like the questions sir used to do in class. Every question focus on a different aspect of the theory. Like for example, monopoly, there would be a question on price discrimination. So if I did questions, automatically my concepts were clear. Now I know, like when I do questions, now I remember, oh, price equal to MC in third degree, like in a two-part array, for example. So I know that automatic. I don't. If I read that, I would forget. But if I did the questions, I could remember. That is the one reason I did questions. So it was that.
That's what everybody has their own style. So it's great that it's a great testimony to the fact that you have to study. How you study is not important. You do it your way.
Yeah.
All you need to do is clarity of concept. How it comes to you is your is you know the
Like
way you
sir
learn.
told me, like sir, I used to, I think you also told me that you have to do each and every question at least 4 5 times. Like to, like not by number, just to have those concepts at hand. No, whenever you see, no examination directly repeats the questions, but they repeat the concept. That is what I have heard. So I had the concepts in hand, but that I did by doing questions. So I think that is for me, that is the only way.
That was what was great.
Yes.
So Krish, there were in your journey also, I'm sure there are questions, there are topics which are weak for any person, right? And there are topics which are strong for any person. For example, for me, probability is very strong. Some theoretical microeconomics is weak. You know, that's how my brain works. Logical things are good. Very mathematical things are not good. So for you also, I'm sure there's something like that. So how does a student tackle things which don't come naturally to them, which is a little difficult maybe?
I will start by the topics which I used to find difficult. For example, micro. I was very bad at maths and micro. I was bad at because first of all, I did not have my concepts clear, and secondly, I did not have enough questions to practice. That was the main reason. Now, when I joined EduSure, so thankfully, sir started with microeconomics. Like initially, the space of was very slow, eco topic.
Yeah.
It was one or 2 weeks for one concept. So those concepts which sir did in detail initially were the concepts I was weak at. Microeconomic, lucky for me. Microeconomics, the consumer behavior part, it was all Hicks, substitution effect, everything. It was nothing I used to understand because I used to read theory in my 2 years of bachelor's. That is all I did. But when I did questions, it became so easy. And turns out by the time I finished the course, those were my strong points. Those were the macro. I was before joining, I was good at. After joining, I was equally good. So macro was like one stable line, but maths and the technical part was so like I realized I was way better at technical parts than I was at theoretical or logical part. So that I realized but yeah, I had to practice a lot of times. I think consumer behavior minimum 6 times I revised in the
Hmm.
matter of 6 months. All
Because
those questions.
it's very different from what you do in your graduation. It's
Yeah.
all question, all application
Because
based.
consumer behavior, if I understood, then it was easy for me to understand production, cost. It was
He is full
same only.
consumer.
Yeah. So it was, yes. And then general equilibrium also. I thought I had it understood actually, but then I did question, I realized, oh, I don't know anything.
Yeah, that happens.
So
Easy.
yeah, so then all those, yes, but these were the ones which were my weak points. Turns out I was better at all those things.
So as soon as you started taking the problem solving approach, things started falling into place for you.
Things started falling in place.
Yeah. So and on average, like how did you manage your college studies along with doing like you say consumer behavior you did at least 6 times. So how did you manage your college studies along with preparing for these entrances? How did you do time management?
Can I be candid with you, ma'am?
Yeah. Please do, because this is what students keep asking. Hum kaise kare?
Ma'am, it is not a very good tip. Okay. Not one parent will approve to this, but this is exactly what I did. If anybody doesn't want to follow, they're very good person. Okay. I did not study college at all. It was online. I did not like you used to say, 2 hours college rest of the day. Sir used to give things. I did not. I like no, only entrance. College is online.
Yeah.
2 years, they are giving questions from the previous years. Everything we did not even have our exams proper. So I just focused. I did not even attend the classes. Like the laptop was on for online classes. Here I had a different screen open for solving ISI question. So I sat the entire day, but I did not study college at all.
You didn't do your college stuff at all.
No, but then I realized, but when I looked at the test, I realized, oh, this is what I did in entrance. Like, I know what it is. Like, that everything, for example, theory and everything that, oh, I read all. So then I realized, so end of the day, I know in that much only, but then I dedicated all my time for focusing entrance, because people who did, college degree is very time consuming. Like, you have to write a lot also. So you have to memorize a lot in. So that takes up a lot of your time. You know this much and you have to memorize this much. Whole day is lost. Zero productivity. No, the marginal productivity is very low in terms of college studies, I will tell you. Okay, so that is what I did. I just focused on entrances. Yes, if I had to balance, I might have, but luckily our batch did not have.
Yeah, if you had
Our
to go to
batch,
college, it would have been a different thing, but you didn't have to go to college.
but then everybody would have to go to college. It would be same for everyone, and the ranking would have been same only. But there are people who had to give online exam. They focus so much on college, so they could not revise those concepts, and then they forgot, and then they were too much involved in college. So my suggestion would be, even if you are studying for college, don't get involved. Like, don't try to score 90 or 100 in every subject, because if you're too involved in college, you will do good in college. But if you're too involved in entrances, you will do better in entrances. That is the only thing I have seen.
Yeah, that is a problem, and that is a problem that every student faces, whatever they are doing. So if they are, sitting for an MBA exam or they're sitting for an MA entrance, everybody faces this dilemma of how much time to put in. You have to.
There was a student in our batch, Kabir. He is from English on. Now, if he followed his religion, if he followed those college curriculum religiously, he would not have cleared ISA, because first of all, he did not have the background also.
Yeah.
So he had to dedicate his entire time to entrances so that he could clear ISA. So that is there.
Cleared ISI, he got a rank 12. I myself could not have imagined an English guy doing that.
Yes, it is like kind of like people were like, the economic students are insulted. Okay, he got a rank better than us, or he got selected also.
Yeah, but Kabir was very dedicated. Since the day he had joined, he used to keep calling me, "Ye doubt hai, ye doubt batawa." He was very dedicated, and his concepts also when he used to.
Because he did not have friends.
He didn't have friends, but then he used to not
Like
go
he
out
did
or
not.
anything.
No, not like that. He did not have friends in his batch. Like, for example, we had friends in our batch. Like, because we were from economics background, so everybody was preparing for ISIDs. So we had people who were preparing with him. But then he was from an English background. How will have people who were preparing for ISIDSC? That was his problem, because all of my friends are from college. So we exchanged doubts. We clarify each other's doubts. We had teachers in college also. So we had some support, but then he did not have any support. He had to, you know, trouble you a bit.
No, but then when I realized that this guy is actually serious, then I knew I had to help him, because he used to ask relevant doubts. It wasn't it wasn't that something he could read on his own and fir puch raha hai. He used to actually study and not understand something. So his doubts were pretty relevant. So yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
So
yeah,
Krish, how was your interview experience? How did that go?
interview was extremely, and like any
Unmotivated.
other student would have gotten anxiety at. I
Oh,
can
really?
say this. Yes, mo- I don't have a weak stomach, but even I felt the pressure this time. Never used to get scared in public speaking, anything like that. I don't get, but this time even I felt that pressure. Like first I walked in, there were 8 professors. I expected, and then they were trying to acclimate, and then they were my background and everything they asked, and then they asked me how I prepared for ISI. I said past year paper. Then they asked that question again for another 2 times. I said the same thing at same thing, but tried to twist the words and said that because that is exactly what I did. What else would I say? So then they were like, okay, past year papers. Yes. And then they asked me what are the subjects I studied. So I missed econometrics while listing the subjects. They asked again, did you study econometry? I said yes. Then my next 15 minutes were spent in solving econometrics questions.
Because
One
you think
thing that
that.
did not come in past years, one thing that no student I would have never expected was the topic econometrics. But I answered most of the questions. Like out of, I think, around 10, 11 questions, I answered 8 or 9.
So you think they did that because you didn't say econometrics, so they were offended that you didn't study
No,
econometrics.
I think they asked me because I said I prepared for ISI with using past year papers.
Hmm.
So they're like, "Ki, okay, we will ask you one topic that has never been asked in past years. Like econometrics, hardly there is any
Wow.
questions in ISI. Luckily, I did DSC questions on econometrics, thankfully. I had my concepts ready, so I answered that, and then a normal LPP questions, one probability question, but then it went on for a long time. And then in between, the professors were talking amongst each other, like, should we end the interview? It has been going on for too long. 3 or 4 times they had this discussion, still they did not. And when I was going out, they again called me and they asked me this one-liner question. They asked me if two friends go to a restaurant. There are two scenarios. Once they split a bill, and another scenario is they consume their own share. Like they pay their own share. Then they asked me if are these two scenarios same. And this was ISI
This is an
2006.
ISI question. Yeah.
Yes, I had that. I said immediately. I answered. And then they said, okay, you can. And I thought if they had told me to derive and it would take me another 15 minutes, I was hoping they did not ask me to derive
How
that
long
result.
did your interview go?
40, 45 minutes.
40, 45 minutes. And
Yes.
was this the average time they took with everyone?
No, no, no. Average time was 10 minutes.
What?
Yes, ma'am. I asked other students, like 3 or 4 students, in at least in Kolkata campus that I asked the other students, they were coming on and like, how long did they take this? Like 10 minutes. Some said it went for very long. I said, how long? They said 15 minutes. I was like, oh my God. It was
Wow.
40 minutes. Yes, it was. Because I was the 23rd June was the first day on which the ISI interviews were happening. So I was the first candidate in the first slot on the first day.
Oh,
So
oh.
maybe that is the reason they did not have the time calculated or something. I don't know. And then they kept asking questions on the topics, which we did not see much in past years. Like 1 or 2 question in some, three, like
Hmm.
that kind they were asking. They were trying to see if I had my concepts, I did actually studied or it was just past years.
It was just, or was it a fluke that, similar
A
questions came,
fluke,
so
yes.
fluke say, ho gaya,
Yeah.
and you
They,
actually don't know much.
yeah, they made sure it was not a fluke. Like they asked me so much, like there was not any other concept left. Like all other concept, I was hoping they asked on micro. Like other students got an option also. On which topic would you like to be interviewed? Micro, okay, micro which chapter? Okay. I think at some point they would ask the question also. Tell me which question we should ask. And but me they did not give any option, any, like, and I was told to, like, the probability question usually in Delhi campus what they do is they give 10 or 15 minutes for you to solve a question, and then you have to, in my case, they give a question directly and they said that you solve this now.
Actually, they
Like,
weren't. But you could take some time to think about the answer, because if you do it in a if you do it quickly, then there's a chance you might miss out something because it's pressure environment. So
but
you
I
just
asked the sir, like the sir who gave me the question, I made sure I understood the questions correct.
acha.
Like I asked them a couple of times, like, is this what you're trying to say, sir? If I did not misinterpret like that in a respectful way, but I clarified a couple of them. They helped me out also. Like they explained to me the questions very nicely. They were not friendly at all. I heard somewhere that they are very friendly. They were not friendly. But they were not friendly to me at least. Other students, they were joking. And to me,
My God.
they gave the question. They're like solve, and then they told me like they told me the pattern of the answer. This is how the answer will look like. It will consist of p term in between. I solved also, and they is like, okay, you're logically correct or something. They said, but they did not. The moment I answered a question, they moved on to another question directly. Like they did not even like let me finish the answers. Like for example, I knew the answer was right. They won't waste time on that. Like they will see, oh, he's going
They
on
were
the
doing
right. Is like,
rapid. They were doing rapid fire.
yeah, that then again it is, but still it took 40 minutes. That is the thing. Like so many questions they asked me. Even when sir asked me to list down all the questions, I think I missed out on a couple of questions because even I could not remember all those questions which I was asked.
That's a lot of pressure. A lot of pressure.
Yes, I thought maybe they were grilling. And then I checked the weightage for interview. I said okay, 14-15%. It was thank for God.
My God, yours was a harrowing experience. Sometimes they people have. I've never had anybody tell me this in ISI. Once or twice in IGIDR, I've had students tell me that they kept on going and kept on grilling, but I've never heard this in ISI. This is the first time that you are saying about ISI.
Yeah, and other students I asked, it was same as what you would expect. Like there was a PDF in EduSure portal under interview section in which there were IGIDR questions.
Yeah.
So thankfully I read that. So
Okay.
उसमें बहुत सारे econometrics questions were.
Now they asked a lot of
Thankfully I
economics.
yes, so thankfully I prepared. It was again a luck, but
Luck.
I actually because ISI would have been very different from IGID the
Yeah.
interviews. But then again, thankfully I read those questions. I tried to I looked for answers. I had those ready, and luckily that was exactly the pattern in mine.
Hmm.
So to students, they really cannot expect like anything because they knew that students would be expecting, हाँ मतलब seniors को people would ask and then they would
Just
expect.
to ask, and the line of questioning would be the same what they did in the entrances. I mean, the paper came from them only, so this is what they want to test you on. So at least
Yes.
the topic and line of questioning you expect it to be similar to the ISI exams, but this time they were
Yes.
like, we have to test other things.
Yes, they did not like econometrics. I did not expect. No matter how much I would have studied for the interview, I would have never, looked at econometrics. Luckily, I did. But I would not have prepared a strategy. Okay, this time,
Yeah.
econometrics, uh,
Nobody could have
everything.
predicted this. No one could have
Nobody could have
predicted.
prepared.
Yeah.
So, but then again, thankfully,
Oh
thankfully, I
wow.
did. So it was yes, ISI interview was. I don't know if it was a good or bad because I answered questions also, but it was very, you know, I remember someone puked in the interview, and like in front of the professors, but they had to take, so like, but they had to go and vomit or something.
During this year's interviews.
Yes, yes, it was like people could not take the pressure apparently. It is very intimidating.
Oh wow. I mean that now we need more grilling for you guys in the interviews.
I think
We
my
expected it to be
experience
more.
is in my all my answers are very different from what you heard to, like
Yeah.
from other students. I am very
Yeah.
sure. Yeah,
Yeah.
but
Wow.
it is what it is.
I am myself feeling a little jittery, after your experience, because that's even if you know things, like to do it one after the other, and to do it in front of 8 people, when pressure is there, you're getting an answer, you're not getting it.
Like for example, they asked a question, I did on the board, and now I'm thinking, okay, this topic I have under my control. Okay, next. they can sense that, because obviously they are smart people, so they will sense ki ha, he knows this, so they won't ask more questions on that topic. They would immediately sometimes shift the subject. For example, one question from econometrics, other question from linear programming problem. Like that, they would see ki ha, he's getting the link, then they would move on.
They literally tried to poke you and find the holes that way. What
Yeah,
is it
they
that
would
you
see
don't know?
what is it that I don't know. Like they would make me write and they made me write an equation, point out the variables, point out the exogenous variables, endogenous variables, things like that. So those were the easy questions, but the difficult ones were like from the econometrics. Like they asked me like what is the sampling distribution, where it is used. They asked me to give three unbiased estimator. Like three, I don't know, only one. Like because in UG I have studied only one, and then but then whatever I studied in the UG I could answer. The ones they were which were not in the UG I could not answer. Obviously, I don't think they expected me to also. They just saw how far I can go. I think, but
This is a
yeah,
proper pressure test. Proper pressure
proper
test.
pressure.
Proper pressure test for you. Wow, that deserves that deserves something, Krish. That is amazing for you to hold up there. I think that was amazing. It's really good.
I thought I should have taken a bottle of water. I thought I would take. I just forgot during while leaving for the interview. I just
People were
slipped my
carrying
mind.
their own water bottles inside. I mean,
No, nobody was carrying. But then for 10 minutes you don't need. No, 40 minutes, continuously speaking, I think I needed. At one point, I could not ask. I was feeling very thirsty. I should have asked for them, like, sir, can I have a glass of water or something? But I did not. I kept going. I
and you
was
were
not
standing all
particular.
this while.
Yeah, I was standing all this while. Like they had a whiteboard, like
Huh.
here, and then it was like a conference room.
Yeah.
It was a small room, and 8 professors were sitting, one after the other. They were questioning. Some used to leave in between, come back. They were having the time of their life.
Wow, that deserves something, Krishna. That is amazing to hold up in that scenario. But as you're right, because not everybody would have been able to do this.
Yeah, even I could sense, like, not this is not for everyone. This is not for like people. I used to narrate experiences to other students. They were like, yeah, I would have fainted.
Yeah.
Like questions I used to tell them, and the scenario they were like, "Ki, this is very scary," because most students in my batch of people I talked to, they were not very confident for interviews. They were
No,
confident in entrances, and because that is what we have been preparing for past 1 year, so that is what we are confident in. Interviews nobody prepared for. That is why they were very scary. They don't know what we are going to ask, what we have been going to be asked.
because
So that is the thing.
that's an ocean. They can ask anything. If you
Anything
can,
they can ask,
yeah,
anything.
yeah,
That is the reason people are scared, because past year papers are there, so what they're going. Like have some idea, but
yeah.
interview it is on their mood.
It is. It
Morning
is.
they woke up at 8:30 and they're like, okay, this topic sounds nice. We'll ask on that.
Yeah.
So that
They can
is the
pick up
thing.
absolutely anything. Absolutely anything.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow, amazing. So I think this deserves something that you held up in this scenario and you made it because, like I said, those people that I heard in IGIDR who went through 40-minute interviews and they were grilled and grilled and grilled, ultimately they were not taken also. So,
Oh,
so I don't have very good, I haven't heard very good experiences. And this was a student I remember, very old one. This is long years back, but he was a very good student. He finally didn't get an IGIDR, but he made it to ISI because they grilled him so much in IGIDR that year, like 40 minutes, one एक topic ke upar, next,
oh
next, next,
yeah.
next, next, next. They kept on going for him. So for 40 minutes again, and they never took him. He made it to ISI, but not to IGIDR. So I don't have a very good, memory of this going right. So for you, this going right, and they actually selecting you after all that grilling being satisfied.
Yeah,
Okay, ठीक है, ये लड़का ले लेते हैं ऐसे.
because yeah, I think they were maybe it is because the interview pressure was like interview weightage was very less maybe. Like in IGRDR, interview matters a lot more than it does in ISI.
Everywhere, even this year the ISI interview weighted is also a lot. So
No,
I
no, no,
think
no. This year, in for at least
वो
as our course,
10% था ना, sorry, 10% था,
it was 14 around 14%.
14%. Right.
Like two
Seems
into
the weightage
PA.
was a lot.
PEB ka weightage was a lot. I think my PA marks was very low. My PA marks was, I think, 98. Yes, 96 was the cutoff. My marks were 98. I thought my rank would be somewhere around 65, 66.
Oh, so your PA score was not that great.
No, but I think my PEB, because I don't think PEB में कोई भी question I did wrong. PEB में all the questions I was very confident. All these questions are correct. I was confident at least. So maybe my PEB saved me.
Or maybe just this interview. They thought इसको तो लेना पड़ेगा.
Yeah, maybe interview also. Interview and PEB maybe, but PA score for sure it was very less. Like people who did not get selected, they had a score of 106, 107, 110. So, and I was 98. And I was like, how did I even get in? Like if my score was so low. So I guess PEB. PEB questions I like doing. It was very, it is technical and you have to solve one after the another. You just have to get the essence of questions, then it is very easy. So PEB, I like doing PEB way more than I like doing. So end of the day, it has all boiled down to my interest. Like I like doing questions, I did. Everything I like doing, it worked out in my favor this time, luckily.
Yeah, and I think it will work out for anyone who does that, who studies it in a manner that they enjoy. So if you study in a manner that you enjoy doing, ultimately you will get it one way or the other.
Because if you first of all you have to do it for the, like you have to study this subject maybe for a long time. If you don't decide to quit, maybe for the rest of your life you have to be with this subject. If you decide to, okay, so you might as well start enjoying it. Otherwise you will be depressed or something. Like if I studied in a way I did not enjoy, how forget getting into a good college, I would be very sad and depressed. I would be really like mental health would be affected.
Absolutely, I agree. So I think that is also a key takeaway. Like, besides your whole interview experience, but that is also a key takeaway that you must.
Luckily, my parents were like, do whatever you want. They don't even like, they've never asked me marks or something. Do whatever you feel like. Just take fees from us, like how much you have to pay in college and tuition. Do whatever. Stay in one room, do whatever. We will give you food or something. Like it was very chilled out in my. Maybe that is the reason people, generally the pressure is there, so they are like, oh, I have to do theory also, I have to do this also. To me, it was, I did not think I would get into IS. Like when I started preparing, it was just to, don't like, to get in some good path. Any good college, even, like tier 2 colleges would do for. I did not have that high expectations from. But then ISI mil gaya. Now I can be high, yeah. Yes.
Well, for me also, actually, it was the same. My parents didn't say ki kuch karna hai life mein. They just said ki just do whatever you want to. And I used to do like you only. I studied what I liked. I didn't do too much what I didn't like. I studied what I like, and that probably worked for me also.
And then for me, it is as long as I can, as long as I can pay my bills, I am fine. That was my mindset. Now I can actually hope so with the stipend I can pay my bills.
No, I'm sure this is so done. So great journey, Krish. Culmination of this journey, जैसे बोलते हैं. That's what you had, a proper culmination of this journey. So yeah. So very congratulations, and
thank you, ma'am.
You've done like almost the unthinkable here. So yeah, I'm sure you'll savor it for the rest of your life. कुछ मेहनत करके मिला है भाई.
I would have said, can I say one thing?
Yeah, please.
I enjoyed the course as much as you did. If sir was here, I would have said the same thing. But
yeah, great, Krish. Thank you so much. And thank you for this interaction also. I'm sure the students learned a lot. So thank you. And
thank
enjoy
you,
in ISI. I'm sure you will.
yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Krish. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.